Last year on the first day of school, one of my students asked me if I was a new teacher at Gabrielino, which was really funny to me because I've been here 15 years. But I understand why she didn't know me. Most of you out there probably don't know me. And that's because for the last several years, I have taught only seniors. And being a senior teacher makes me privy to a very special kind of stress and anxiety that only seniors will experience. In November, the anxiety level in my class noticeably rises, right? As the kids are doing their college applications. And then it rises again in early spring as they're awaiting their acceptance letters or dreading those rejection letters. And I've come to understand that the pressure on you guys to pick the right college, to go to the right college, to plan out your life is so much greater and so much more intense than when I was in school, that I thought I would share with you my experience and the choice I made during this time, just to give you a different perspective. So I'm going to move over here and see if I can move away from there. Can you hear me? Okay. So growing up, I always wanted to go to UC Berkeley. That was just where I was going to go. I noticed that a lot of my students think UCLA is the be-all, end-all, but when I was in school, UC Berkeley was Ivy League West Coast. And I set my sights for Berkeley, and that's where I was going to go. I loved San Francisco. I'd been fortunate enough to visit there several times, and that's where I'm going, that's where I'm going. So, senior year, the college application process comes, and I found myself fortunate enough to have a meeting with the Dean of Admissions at UC Berkeley. That's a whole other story. But we're sitting there, we're talking, and he's looking at my application, and he assures me, wow, you're a great candidate for Berkeley. And by the way, I don't think the competition was as stiff back then. I think smaller world population, less applicants. I think that's how I got in. But he said, we're so happy to get people from Los Angeles at Berkeley. The only problem we have is keeping the girls here on the weekend because they always want to go home to see their boyfriends. Say what? See, at that time I had a boyfriend. And we'd been together for almost a year. And until that very moment, I had never imagined that anything would happen other than us working out the long-distance relationship and getting married someday. So when he said, the only problem we have is keeping the girls here on the weekend so that they don't go home to see their boyfriends, a seismic shift occurred in me. Now, I'm fairly certain that he continued to talk during that lunch conversation, but all I heard was, wah, 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 wah. Because the only thing in my mind was, first I was afraid, I was petrified, kept thinking I could never live without him by my side. I made my choice. I was not going to Berkeley. I withdrew my application, and much to the chagrin of all the adults in my life, I just wasn't going there, and I had to find a backup plan. Now, today, I could say, deciding where you're going to go to college based on a boy? Wow, that's immature, that's juvenile, that's childish, but I don't say that. I could call it stupid. But I don't, because for me, that was the right choice. Today, I am happily married with a beautiful little boy. Not with a high school boyfriend. I broke up with him when I graduated from college. High school relationships don't work out. Let me back up. So, I keep coming over here because I'm nervous. I talk to you guys every day in small groups. It's different when it's like this, but so let me tell you what happened. So I withdrew my application. This was all early. This was still the fall of my senior year. And I was like, where can I apply? What can I do? And I think I applied to UCLA. And then there was this little school called Occidental College over the hill in Eagle Rock. And yeah, it's a great school. The deadline for applications was January 30th, so I got it in right under the wire. Now, I understand that Occidental College is no schlucky school. It has a reputation of its own. It's a liberal arts college. It's great. But it was the opposite of everything I ever wanted. I wanted big city, big school, big adventure. Occidental had 1,800 students. The same as my high school, the same as this high school. It was 4 miles from my house in Altadena. I just never thought that's how I'd end up, that I'd be provincial and have that kind of college experience. But because I chose the boyfriend and then Occidental, the path that my life took brought me right here to who I am today and where I am today. So I wanted to just give you a run of events, because we all know that when you make a choice, there is a consequence or an outcome, and sometimes it's positive and sometimes it's negative. Because I chose the boyfriend and went to Oxy, I discovered a passion for art history and majored in that field, graduating with honors and distinction in my major. That is a far cry from the business major I was going to have at Berkeley, which now I look back like, what was I going to do with business? It also led me to be asked to curate an art show at Occidental, which gave me the opportunity to actually speak in front of people, and I thought, wow, this is fun, this is great, I didn't know I could do this, which helps a lot in teaching. Because I chose the boyfriend and went to Oxy, I was able to have some opportunities that I'm not sure I would have had at a larger campus, because I don't know if I would have heard about them. And one of those was a program called Crossroads to Africa. And Oxy was big on this. They promoted it, they recruited, they helped you find money to do it. And what it did was it put you in West Africa. Well, my group went to West Africa. You could go anywhere in Africa, but I was put in West Africa for 8 weeks. I dug a well, I made bricks from scratch, I slept on the floor, I squatted out in the woods to do my business because I didn't have bathrooms, and I basically saw the world for the first time. And this ignited my understanding that, wow, I live in a really privileged American bubble. And it also ignited in me this passion to just travel and see as much of the world as I possibly could. Which is one of the reasons I became a teacher, because we get the summers off. But that's another story. Because I chose the boy and the boyfriend, I remained close to my 2 best friends from high school, who are still my best friends today. And that's just circumstance, happenstance, because one went to USC, which, by the way, another thing about that is that she went to USC, had to drop out for personal reasons, figured out, I'll get a job at USC. And then a few years later, she had free tuition and finished her degree 10 years after the fact. The other one went to Cal State and ended up getting a graduate degree in a prestigious Montessori graduate program. So, because I chose the boy and went to college, all these things happened for me. And not coincidentally, because I chose the boy and went to Oxy and majored in art history, I got a job at the Norton Simon Museum after I graduated, where I met a girl who was dating a guy who she was in love with, but later he fell in love with me and we got married and we're really happy. Again, a whole nother story. Forget the script. So my message to you from this is that I know, at least for my seniors, there's so much pressure. For all of you, even if you're 9th grade, people are tracking your progress. Some of you have planned your life out for 30 years. How you do that, I don't know. And you've got a fixed idea in your mind what college you're going to and what's going to happen. Well, I just want to tell you, life's not linear. Very seldom is life point A to point B, or I guess for you guys, point A to point B. It's non-linear. I know mine was. It was all over the place. And so right now, the college you pick, the college you get into, whether or not you go to a 4-year university or PCC and then a 4-year university, this college, that college, it matters not that much in the end. Of every job interview I've ever had, no one has ever asked me what college I've gone to. And it might have been on my resume, but no one ever discussed it. No one cared. Did I have a BA? Yes, I did. Good enough. Okay? So I guess my first message is, not all choices that 17 and 18-year-olds make are immature or stupid. And the second thing is that if you listen to your inner voice, I didn't know it at the time when the Berkeley guy was telling me not to go back to LA for the boyfriend, but my inner voice said, you gotta stay. And your inner voice doesn't always know why it feels that way, but that voice is the one that will speak to you the most clearly, the most calmly, even when there's turmoil all around you. And that's the one that will lead you to the path that's right for you. So if you listen to your voice, if you believe in yourself and your voice, you're gonna be okay. Take a breath. Step back. know that if you believe in yourself and you follow your voice, you will find a way to make a living. You will find a way to house yourselves. You will find a way to feed yourselves. You will find your passion. You might have to work hard to find it, but you'll find it. And some of you will make a tremendous amount of money doing your passion. But more importantly, you will find someone to love, and you will be loved. You will find happiness. And really, that's so much more important than what college you go to. Listen. So in the words of the immortal Tony Bennett, I'm going to do this one more time because it's one of my fears and I want to get over it right now, so here we go. When all the world is a hopeless jumble and the raindrops tumble all around, heaven opens a magic lane. When all the clouds darken up your skyways, there's a rainbow highway to be found, leading from your window pane. If you listen and trust your choices. Thank you. Good luck.